Donald Trump's recent comments about giving Americans money from tariff revenues lit a firestorm online. But what's actually behind the buzz? It started with a vague statement, hinting at the idea of using the $215 billion collected in tariffs this year to fund direct payments. That notion quickly morphed into viral posts claiming $2,000 checks were signed and ready to go for November 1st. But none of that's been enacted. Not by law, not by the Treasury, and certainly not by Congress. This video steps into the fog of misinformation to break down what's real and what's not, tracing how a speculative idea turned into a nationwide expectation, and what role legal and legislative hurdles are playing in keeping those checks from becoming a reality.
Backhand index pointing right. If this information helped you, don't stop here. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you're always one step ahead. We break down important updates like this clearly so you're never caught off guard. Join our community, stay informed, and take control of your financial future, starting today. Flexed Biceps Calendar.
At the center of all this is a complicated mix of economic policy, political ambition, and public desperation. While the tariff revenue is real and large, the math doesn't support widespread direct payments of the size being promised. Add in the ongoing court battles questioning whether those tariffs were legally imposed in the first place, and the picture gets even murkier. This video examines the full scope of what's being claimed, the actual mechanics of how any rebate or stimulus would have to be approved, and why it's critical to rely on sources like the IRS and Treasury instead of social media headlines. So, is Trump really handing out $2,000 checks this November? Is there a magical pile of tariff money being split up and sent directly to your mailbox? Let's cut through the noise. There's been a tidal wave of rumors online, TikToks, clickbait headlines, shady YouTube clips, all claiming that Donald Trump has officially signed off on new $2,000 stimulus checks and that Americans should expect their money starting November 1st. Some go even further, suggesting this windfall will come from tariff rebates, essentially money clawed back from other countries through import taxes. It sounds like a bold, patriotic move straight out of a campaign rally. But is any of it true? Short answer: well, not right now. Not even close. Here's what's actually happening. Yes, former President Donald Trump has floated the idea of using tariff revenue to fund direct payments to Americans. He's talked about it on the campaign trail. He's thrown out the number, $2,000. He's played to the crowd. But let's be absolutely clear. Nothing has been signed into law. No checks are on the way. No official program has been enacted. All of this is still stuck in the realm of political posturing and speculative chatter. Now let's talk about tariffs. Because a lot of people pushing these claims clearly don't understand how tariffs work. Or they do, and they're banking on you not knowing the difference. Tariffs are taxes on imported goods. That means when companies bring products into the United States, from China, Europe, wherever, they pay a fee to do so. That money goes to the U.S. government. Sounds like a win, right? Foreign companies get taxed, and we use that revenue for Americans. Except that's not the whole story. What actually happens is that companies pass those costs down to you. Prices go up. You pay more for everyday items, from electronics to clothing to food. So while the government does collect money, the American consumer ends up footing the bill in the form of higher prices. It's a backdoor tax hike on you, not a punishment on foreign governments. That's the reality. And yes, in 2025, the federal government has reportedly collected around $215 billion in tariff revenue. That's a big number, until you divide it among more than 330 million Americans. Suddenly, that supposed $2,000 per person turns into something closer to $700. And that's assuming the entire pot gets evenly divided, which it won't. There are debts, programs, and budgetary obligations that take priority. So no, the math doesn't check out. And no, there's no signed legislation that allocates that revenue into individual rebate checks. And here's where it gets even murkier. There are active court challenges questioning whether some of these tariffs were even legal in the first place. Yes, legal challenges. Cases are working their way through the federal courts, and some could end up in the hands of the Supreme Court. If judges determine that certain tariffs were improperly enacted or unconstitutional, that could jeopardize the revenue stream entirely. You can't rebate what you might have to return. That's a massive legal complication hanging over this entire idea like a storm cloud. Meanwhile, let's talk Congress. Because no matter what Donald Trump wants or claims, he cannot unilaterally send out checks. This isn't The Apprentice. He doesn't get to sign a piece of paper and say, money for everyone. Congress holds the power of the purse. Any plan to issue rebates or stimulus checks, tariff-funded or not, must go through the legislative process. That means bills introduced, debated, and passed through both chambers. That has not happened. So when you see those viral posts, Trump signs $2,000 stimulus, take a deep breath. They're not true. Not one official agency, not the Treasury Department, not the IRS, not Congress, has confirmed any such program. And if there's no legislation, no law, and no implementation plan, then there's no check. Let's be blunt. This is textbook political misinformation. It's designed to go viral, to stir hope, and in some cases to scam people. There are already bad actors out there exploiting this narrative, asking for your personal information, your bank details, your social security number, under the promise of fast-track payments. Don't fall for it. If anyone tells you they can get you early access to this phantom stimulus, they're lying. Full stop. Every legitimate payment program from the federal government is publicly announced through official channels. IRS.gov, Treasury.gov, or official congressional releases. If it's not there, it's not real. And even if Congress did eventually approve something like this, something that used tariff revenue to fund payments, there would be an extensive rollout period. Weeks of planning, months of implementation, and 1,000 legal and bureaucratic hurdles. Nothing is ever instant. And certainly not in Washington. Now let's talk inflation. Because even if this fantasy somehow became reality, $2000 checks funded by tariffs, there are serious economic consequences. Injecting more cash into the economy without fixing inflation at the root could backfire badly. When more money chases the same amount of goods, prices rise. That $2,000. It starts to lose value before it even hits your account. Economists have warned that unchecked stimulus, without structural solutions, is like pouring gasoline on a fire. You might get a short burst of relief, but the long-term burn is brutal. And that brings us to this. None of this is about whether Americans deserve help. This is about truth. It's about facts. Because hope based on lies is just another form of manipulation. Let's be clear. There may be future discussions about rebates, about creative ways to redistribute tariff revenue, about helping Americans cope with rising costs. But discussions are not decisions. Speech is not a law. A post on social media is not a Treasury announcement. We're urging you. Do not share unverified rumors. Do not give away personal information to strangers. And do not fall for clickbait stories that promise easy money with no official backing. Stay skeptical. Stay informed. Check your sources. And if you have questions, don't rely on anonymous posts or influencers with no credentials. Go to the real sources. The IRS, the U.S. Treasury, your elected representatives in Congress. And if something sounds too good to be true, it usually is. The truth is simple. As of now, there are no $2,000 checks coming in November. There is no official tariff rebate program in effect. There is no signed stimulus. The rumors are false. That doesn't mean the conversation is over. Stimulus programs are still possible, especially in a volatile economy, but they require legal action, legislative cooperation, and economic strategy. None of that has happened yet. So until you see it on IRS.gov, until you read a law signed and passed through Congress, and until the Treasury tells you exactly when and how money will be distributed, don't believe it. Don't let scammers take advantage of your hope. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button so more people can see the facts instead of fiction. Share it with friends and family who might be confused by all the noise. Drop a comment below. Have you seen any of these rumors online? Let us know. And most importantly, subscribe for updates grounded in facts, not viral fiction. We'll be here to break it down, Clearly, honestly, and without the spin. Donald Trump knows exactly what he's doing when he drops vague statements about $2,000 checks and tariff rebates. He understands the desperation out there. Families are struggling, groceries are expensive, rent is through the roof, and inflation isn't some abstract number. It's a daily gut punch. So when he gets on stage and hints at stimulus payments coming soon or paid for by China, he's not promising solutions. He's dangling hope. Carefully, strategically. But don't confuse campaign rhetoric for real policy. Because behind the applause lines and catchy slogans, there's a complete lack of substance. Trump hasn't submitted any formal proposal to Congress for a new stimulus package. There's no budget line item earmarking tariff revenue for household payments. No Treasury guidance, no IRS infrastructure, nothing. And here's the kicker. If he did want to make this happen, he would need cooperation from a Congress that's deeply divided and already skeptical of more broad-based stimulus checks, especially if they're being pitched as a political stunt. You don't pass complex economic policy with applause. You pass it with votes, legal text, funding mechanisms, and bipartisan negotiation. None of that has happened. Meanwhile, the folks repeating these $2,000 check rumors are glossing over the critical fact that tariffs aren't a piggy bank. They're not some pile of foreign cash sitting in a vault waiting to be handed out like Oprah giveaways. Tariff revenue is already being used by the government. It's part of the general fund. That money helps offset deficits, fund programs, cover costs. If it's suddenly redirected to a massive check-writing campaign, that means something else gets cut, or the deficit balloons even further. There's no magic formula where money just appears. And let's not forget, the U.S. national debt is over $34 trillion. That's trillion with a T. $215 billion in tariff revenue isn't some unlimited war chest. It's a drop in the bucket. But let's get back to the numbers that matter most to you. If you take $215 billion and divide it evenly among all Americans, we're talking about maybe $700 each. And that's before administrative costs, eligibility restrictions, and legal challenges. So where is this $2,000 number coming from? Nowhere real. It's a political fantasy. A nice round number that sounds great in a speech but crumbles under scrutiny. And here's another inconvenient truth the rumor mill skips entirely. The courts are watching. Right now, several lawsuits are challenging the legality of the very tariffs that Trump wants to use for these rebates. Businesses have sued, arguing the executive branch overstepped its authority by imposing certain tariffs without proper congressional approval. Some of these cases are still in lower courts, but others are climbing the judicial ladder and may very well land in the Supreme Court. If the courts rule that certain tariffs were illegal or improperly applied, the revenue from those tariffs could be clawed back, refunded to companies, or restricted from future use. That would blow a hole in any rebate plan before it even begins. So even if Trump somehow convinced Congress to approve a rebate program tomorrow, which again hasn't happened, he'd still be standing on shaky legal ground. That money might not be legally usable. It might have to be returned. Or it might disappear in a thicket of court injunctions and appeals. But of course, none of this nuance makes it into the viral videos. None of the legal complexity or legislative reality gets discussed in the scammy TikToks or exaggerated headlines. Because it's easier to sell hope than it is to explain how federal revenue allocation works. It's easier to say Trump signed it than to ask, where's the bill? Where's the law? Where's the infrastructure to deliver this? Let's be blunt. If someone says you're getting a $2,000 check in the mail this November just because of tariffs, they are lying to you. They're either misinformed or intentionally misleading. In some cases, it's worse. They're scammers. And this is where we get serious, because it's not just about political spin anymore. Real people are being targeted. Identity thieves are using this rumor to steal personal information. They'll create fake forms, fake websites, even fake phone calls from supposed stimulus processing centers, asking for your bank account or social security number so they can process your rebate faster. It's all a trap. There are no rebates. There are no checks. And there are no legitimate agents contacting people about this. So what can you do? You verify everything through official government sources. That means irs.gov, treasury.gov, House and Senate legislative trackers, your local representatives' official pages. If it's not coming from those places, it's not real. Period. You can also call the IRS or the Treasury Department directly if you're ever unsure. They won't ask for your personal information unless you initiate the call through an official number. And they certainly won't text you, DM you, or message you on Facebook about a check. Now you might be asking, why are people so quick to believe this? Simple. 'Cause people are desperate. 'Cause times are hard. Because when prices are up, wages are stagnant, and housing is unaffordable, a rumor about a $2,000 check sounds like a lifeline. And the people spreading these lies know that. They prey on that. They weaponize your struggle for clicks, views, likes, and profit. And let's not forget, this isn't the first time this has happened. During the pandemic, we saw a similar wave of fake check rumors, scam websites, and identity theft rings exploiting people during a crisis. We learned then, and we need to remember now. Always verify. Always double-check. Always trust the source, not the story. So let's say it again for everyone in the back. There is no official $2,000 check coming. No law has been passed. No stimulus has been signed. No tariff rebate program exists. No timeline for November 1st has been confirmed. Anyone who tells you otherwise is pushing fiction. Possibly for clout, possibly for votes, or possibly to steal your information. Now, does that mean it can't happen in the future? Not necessarily. If enough political will emerges, if Congress acts, if the courts uphold the tariffs, and if a detailed distribution plan is created, then something could happen. But none of that is in place today. And speculation is not fact. We don't build financial security on rumors. So please be vigilant. Share only confirmed information. If you're confused about anything you've seen online, talk to your bank. Call the IRS. Look at official press releases from the Treasury. Don't click strange links. Don't fill out suspicious forms. And don't give away your personal info to strangers who promise you fast cash. We'll say it one more time because it matters. As of now, there is no $2,000 stimulus or rebate check being sent to Americans in November. If that changes, we'll cover it here with official sources, real data, and no gimmicks. If there's one thing we've learned, it's that these rumors don't just fade quietly. They spread. They mutate. They resurface in different forms. And if we don't break them down piece by piece, they come back even louder. Right now, one of the most common refrains being shared is, well, Trump said it, so it must be happening. That logic is dangerous. Just because a politician says something doesn't make it real policy. This is especially true with Donald Trump, who's notorious for making sweeping claims without details, follow-through, or legal backing. Remember when he said Mexico was going to pay for the wall? How'd that turn out? Or when he claimed COVID would disappear like magic? Didn't happen. He's a showman. He speaks in absolutes to rally the crowd. But governing is not about applause. It's about policy, process, and law. So when Trump tosses out a soundbite about $2,000 checks funded by tariffs, he's not making a commitment. He's making noise. And what makes this even more frustrating is that people want to believe it. They want to believe that help is coming. That maybe, for once, something is being done that benefits regular people. That someone's fighting for them. But that belief gets exploited. Hope becomes a political currency. And that's exactly what this is. This whole $2,000 rebate rumor is a campaign strategy. It's not a stimulus plan. Bait. Meanwhile, the real systems that would need to move to make any of this happen, they haven't moved an inch. The IRS hasn't announced anything. The Treasury Department hasn't issued any guidance. Congress hasn't passed any legislation. And Trump, let's remember, is not currently in office. He's not signing anything into law. He's not issuing executive orders. He can talk about these checks all day long, but that doesn't make them real. The presidency is not a podcast. You don't create stimulus by speaking it into existence. And let's not forget inflation, because that's the elephant in the room that no one in these viral videos seems willing to talk about. The US economy is still dealing with the aftershocks of previous stimulus rounds. Prices are still up. Grocery bills are still painful. Housing is brutal. And economists across the board have warned, dumping more money into the economy without solving the underlying supply issues could just drive prices higher. So what's the plan? Hand out $2,000 and then watch it evaporate at the checkout line. You can't fix inflation with more short-term cash. You fix it with long-term strategy. Job growth, wage stabilization, housing reform, supply chain management. But that doesn't make for catchy headlines. So instead we get this fantasy. Checks in the mail. As if that's how macroeconomics works. And here's something else these rumors ignore entirely. Eligibility. Let's say, hypothetically, that a tariff-funded rebate was passed tomorrow. Who gets it? Everyone. Based on income. Based on family size. Will seniors qualify? What about veterans? What about people who didn't file taxes? What about undocumented workers who still pay into the system? None of these questions have answers. Because again, there is no plan. There is no law. There is no system being built to deliver these checks. It's all talk. And while we're on the subject of talk, let's talk about the people pushing this the hardest. A lot of them are influencers looking for clicks. They're monetizing your attention. They make content that sounds good, that looks convincing, that plays to your emotions. And then they cash in when it goes viral. Some even go further, creating entire fake websites designed to look like government portals. They'll ask you to verify your eligibility by entering your personal information. Then boom. Your identity is gone. Your bank account is drained. And the check you were hoping for, it never existed in the first place. This is serious. This isn't just misinformation, it's a public threat. It's a coordinated effort to deceive people who are already hurting. That's why it's more important than ever to stay informed, stay skeptical, and stay connected to real sources. So let's say it one more time. There are no $2,000 checks being mailed in November. There is no official rebate program funded by tariffs. Donald Trump has not signed any law approving direct payments. Congress has not passed any such bill. The IRS and the Treasury have not announced any stimulus. Ongoing legal challenges could block the use of tariff revenue altogether. And if you take anything from this video, let it be this. Information. Not to strangers. Not to sketchy websites. Not to social media gurus, promising fast money. If anyone contacts you saying they can help you claim your rebate, hang up. If a website asks for your SSN or bank info before giving you details, close it. If something seems too good to be true, it absolutely is. Verify everything through irs.gov or treasury.gov. If it's not posted there, it's not real. And if you're ever unsure, call them directly. The real numbers are on their official websites. Do not trust third-party sources. Do not trust anonymous videos. And for the love of all that is secure, do not trust anyone asking for payment or personal details in exchange for access to your rebate. You deserve honesty. You deserve real solutions. What you don't deserve is being lied to so someone else can cash in on your hardship. So if you're tired of the noise, tired of the scams, tired of the same false promises recycled every election cycle, subscribe. Like the video. Share it with people who need the truth. And drop a comment below. Have you seen people pushing this rumor? What platforms are they using? Let's expose them together. We'll be here to bring clarity where others spread confusion. No spin. No fluff. Just the facts. Because the truth, it matters more than ever.